Hello everyone, and today we're back for another Lumian Legacy PvP video, and we're finally going to be talking about the Year 2 Season 1 balance changes. So, with Year 1 Season 4 ending today, I think it's the perfect time to talk about the new moves, new abilities, and the new balance changes that will happen for the first season of Year 2, which Jamie considers the weather season. And there's a lot of Lumians getting some weather-setting moves or climate cannon. This is basically Year 2 Season 1 Climate Cannon Edition, basically. So, yeah, out of the way, let's head straight onto this list. Alright, here's the Year 2 Season 1 balance changes list. I'm going to be ranking all of the balance changes by a letter grade, and I'm going to talk about why I like the change or why I don't like the change. So, these are the changes you can find in the Lumian Legacy PvP discussion pinned comment on their PvP Discord server. So, with that out of the way, let's rank every single balance change. So, the banned Lumians in Year 2 Season 1 balance changes is Nova Diaz, Sorelli, Soulburst Icicle, and Gargoyle Attack. Nova Diaz makes sense, 700 base stat Lumian. Sorelli, Appetite ability. Gargoyle Attack is overpowered, nothing else to really say there, especially with the Berserk ability. And Soulburst Icicle is still somehow in jail. Of course Soulburst Icicle is still in jail, even though it definitely should not be in jail at all. But there has been a banned Lumian that is set out of jail. The funny squid guy will not be banned in Year 2 Season 1, meaning that we will have to deal with Soul Drain spam yet again. Not sure how to feel about this, considering that Soulburst Icicle is a lot less problematic, but hey, you can finally Soul Drain spam yet again. So, I don't know, the banned Lumians, overall, I'll give it a B-. The reason why I'm giving these a B-, it's because I feel like Jamie should have given Soulburst Icicle a chance. So, I'm giving it a B- because Cephalops gets another chance, but not Soulburst Icicle. So, it's not as high as a banned list as I want it to be, but it's just kind of how it is. Now we're into the mechanic changes. The fog weather is getting a change. I know it doesn't completely show on my screen. I can move it to the right a little bit. There are too many inconsistencies with the Spirit Weather Lumians ignoring abilities. Instead, let's rework it to step away from this entirely. This weather will now make all priorities moves fail. Meaning that not only is it going to be, not only will 2-turn moves become 1-turn moves while under fog, it will also kind of be like psychic terrain where it can block all priority moves altogether. This is really good for a weather that, is a spirit type weather. Spirit type Lumians are weak to Shadow Sprint, so this is actually really good for spirit types because not having to deal with Shadow Sprint while the fog weather is up is a really nice buff for the fog weather altogether. While also not dealing with all the abilities, because let's be honest, it's very hard to buff around the fog weather disabling certain abilities. Because sometimes the abilities just flat out don't work, and the other times it does work. It's very confusing. So you know what? I'm gonna give this an A. I'm gonna give this change an A-. I actually like the new change to fog weather. I think it's going to be very strong, and I think changing it to be a lot simpler, make it like a mini psychic terrain, I think it's the best thing they can do with the fog weather. So, that's what I think about the fog weather change. Brand new abilities being introduced is the Toasty ability. The user is immune to the Frostbite status element, and will gain a resistance to ice-type moves. I'm going to give this an A, and the reason why I'm giving this an A is not because this is a good ability, because Toasty is a pretty good ability. It's what Toasty's going to be replacing. Toasty is going to replace Crackleola's Scorching Skin ability. And let's just say that Scorching Skin Crackleola is not very fun. It traps melee attackers in jail, and if your melee attacker gets burned as you attack the Crackleola, it can just rejuvenate spam and get back to full health. So, having its ability changed to Toasty is not only an ability that actually helps Crackleola, meaning it can't actually get bitter colded by a Borealis and Wobbleus, but it can also, not be as stupid as it was with Scorching Skin. So, I think Toasty being added, not only is it a good ability on its own, but I think it's also a good ability to replace Scorching Skin. So, that's why it's an A-tier change for me. Now, the next ability change will be the Inferno ability. They're basically reducing the amount of health you take while you're under Heat Wave. It used to take an eighth of its health instead of 1/16, and overall, I think this is a nice buff for Inferno. I'm going to give this a B+, nothing else to really say. I think it will buff it a little bit. It will actually make people run Inferno over the other abilities. And that doesn't even mention the fact that we're also having a new Inferno Lumian, Inventation. So we actually have multiple options now. You can either go for the Fire Plant type in Chartiki, or the Pure Water type Inventation now. But we'll get to that in a little bit. So, Inferno, I think this is a nice change. It will not be as stupid as it was in the past. It doesn't just die in 8 turns. Now it will take 16 turns for an Inferno Lumian to die under Heat Wave, which, trust me, that makes a huge difference. Lumians gaining new abilities. The new abilities that will be added is Cradle. We'll now get the ability Toasty instead of Territorial. This is actually a really good ability buff for Cradle, especially in Little Cup, because Territorial was kind of a useless ability. I mean, it buffs you sometimes, but it also doesn't buff you other times, so it's kind of a bit of an anti-ability sometimes. So having a consistent ability in Toasty not only is good for Cradle in Little Cup, but it's also good for Cradle just in general. Like, you might actually have an opportunity to use Cradle in an actual Loomian Legacy setting. Like, I can actually see that. So, I think this is a nice buff. And Crackalola getting the ability Toasty over Scorching Skin. Like I said before, it's an S tier change. The reason why it's an A tier here is because I'm ranking just a new ability as a whole, when this is comparing Toasty to Scorching Skin. So that's why this change to Crackalola is S tier, while the Toasty ability itself is an A tier. So, S tier change, replacing Scorching Skin with an ability that's pretty good for Crackalola, so it could still be very useful, I think is a nice change for it. So that makes Crackalola both immune to Raging Flame and Bitter Cold. That's pretty good for Crackalola, especially when it's in its normal form. Now, we have Gumpod Inventation. Now, we'll get a brand new second ability in Inferno. And honestly, any Lumian getting a brand new second ability is an A tier change. I was thinking S tier, but I'm going to go with A tier because I'm not sure how much it's going to use it. But, hey, it's a brand new second ability for Inventation, and I think there's going to be some usage with this, especially as a Bane of Haste Heatwave Sweeper. I can definitely see that. So, I'm going to give Inferno's as Ventation's second ability an A tier. Now we're into the move changes. We have Geyser, change strength to 95 base power from 80, and increase the damage by 30% while under Heatwave instead of lowering by 30%. S tier, it gives players a reason to actually use Geyser over Hydroblast or Tsunami. I like that. Not only is it a stronger move than Tsunami, but it's also a more consistent move, and it's one of the few water-type moves that actually gets buffed while in the Heatwave weather, which no other water-type move has. So, I think having this change to Geyser is really good for it. Flare Blast, Thunder Blast, and Frost Blast will do these changes together. All of these moves will now hit both opponents instead of having a 20% chance to burn, paralyze, or frostbite. Overall, these are, B tier changes. Not really much to say. These are going to be a lot stronger in doubles, but, they're not as impactful compared to the other move changes, like especially to the ones for Geyser. Overall, there has been no horrible balance changes yet, but we're getting into the peak of things, because now we're going to be talking about all of the Lumians' brand new moves. So, let's just talk about them real quick. We got a lot of moves to go over. As you could see, look at all of these. Look at all of these. Lumians getting brand new moves. So, we're going to start with Cosmere getting Climate Cannon. This is actually going to be a B tier change. And the reason why it's only B tier is because only Cosmere Cracked, out of the 3 Cosmeres, I feel like only Cosmere Cracked is going to be able to use it. Cosmere Encased is too bulky and wants to use Bane of Haste anyway, and Cosmere Unleashed is a melee attacker while Climate Cannon is a ranged attack. But this is going to be a nice buff for Cosmere Cracked, especially under Heatwave. Under Heatwave or Thunderstorms, Cosmere Cracked is actually going to be very dangerous with it, because it can actually hit metal types for super effective damage. In Heatwave, it will be able to hit Tyrex, while in Thunderstorms, it will be able to hit Stratosaur, which both have their niche uses. Especially when you consider the fact that Cosmere Cracked also has the move Frost Breath to lower the opposing Lumian speed stat. With Nimble 76 speed, after a minus speed on the opposing Lumian, Cosmere Crack can actually outspeed any Lumian in the entire game. So I can definitely see Cosmere Crack get a lot of usage with Climate Cannon. And as you can see, it's not the only Climate Cannon Lumian. There are like at least 10, maybe even 12 Climate Cannon Lumians on this season balance changes. So yeah, that's just the first of many. Odiaga, Climate Cannon, and Gale Force. B tier. I don't think it's really going to impact Odiaga as much because it already has the coverage moves, but it has it now. So why not? Gale Force is nice for it. It can now set up the Gale Force itself. But again, I don't think it's as impactful as the other balance changes. It's just there as another option. We got the Sea Drake line, the Dractus line getting Climate Cannon, Intrep Root. Again, I don't think this is the most impactful change because this is only going to help the range Sea Drake, not necessarily the melee one. Although, I mean, having fire coverage and hit other plant types is really nice for it. I could see Sea Drake be very good under Heat Wave. Especially the insulated Rageful plushie version do very good under Heat Wave. You get a Rageful plushie boost off on a fire or ice type, and then you were able to use the fire type Climate Cannon in return. So I can actually see that being pretty useful on the insulated Sea Drakes. But other than that, I don't think it's going to be used elsewhere. Climate Cannon on Fishkarna. Again, another B tier change. I mean, it's one new move. I do like that we're getting more Climate Cannon Lumians, but I don't know if Fishkarna is the best user of it. So, just normal B tier. Zeppelin, on the other hand, now this is a Lumian that will be amazing with Climate Cannon because it only has air and earth stabs. It does have Smite, but Smite is pretty inconsistent sometimes, so it now has a different coverage option that it can be used in other weathers. Like, imagine Zeppelin in Heat Wave, where you can actually use air-type stab with fire-earth coverage, and then you click Peace of Mind. Oh gosh, that Zeppelin's going to be very dangerous. Or if you use it in... I feel like Zeppelin is going to be one of those Lumians. It's going to be an air-type Lumian that is going to be better in other weathers, not necessarily in Strong Gust. That's what I feel like. I feel like Zeppelin is going to be used in any weather besides Strong Gust. Even though Strong Gust does buff Zeppelin, having another coverage option for it, I feel like is going to be more important, especially for an offensive Lumian like Zeppelin. So, I really like this change. Given Zeppelin all that different coverage, I feel like it's going to be good for it. Hydralin, on the other hand, it doesn't really help Hydralin too much because its best sets are Luck of Sea, and this is a ranged attack, which there's not any range attacking moves that can boost its critical hit, so you're pretty much just stuck with a normal Hydralin set here. I mean, it is tied for Hydralin's strongest move in its move kit, other than maybe Hydroblast, but other than that, there's not really any other reason to run Climate Cannon on Hydralin. I mean, it's something, but it needs more than that. We got the Ibrella line getting Climate Cannon and Thunder Strike. This is going to be the first mid-tier change because this legit is not going to help Ibrella or Power Stole at all. They're melee attackers. It's not going to ever use these moves unless you want to use a very specific ranged Power Soul that will probably never be used because it's too slow to be used. So, yeah. I mean, it's fine. There's nothing bad about the move. There's nothing broken about it, but it will unfortunately never use Climate Cannon. Cinnamoth, on the other hand, I can actually see it getting some usage because having a infinite coverage, especially if you use Cinnamoth under Strong Gust or Heat Wave, I feel like, again, just like with Zeppelin, I feel like it's going to be the best under Heat Wave, but can actually have coverage to hit metal types and ice types. So, I feel like Climate Cannon under Heat Wave for Cinnamoth, I feel like is going to be the best way to use it, especially since its bug-type moves will cost less energy. So I feel like Cinnamoth might actually see some play with Climate Cannon under Heat Wave. I could definitely see it. I don't think it's going to be that good of a Lumian still, but now that it has an option of Climate Cannon, I feel like it could be very dangerous. Now, Gobbidemic, this is more my cup of tea. Not A+, unlike Zeppelin. I think it's only going to be B+. But this is a nice little buff. It will actually have other coverage options. You can still use... You can use Gobbidemic in pretty much any weather and it will work. You can run it under... You can run it under Heavy Rain, and you can have Toxic Water Stab. Toxic Water Stab is really good in Lumian Legacy. Like I said, Heat Wave could work to hit pesky metal types. You could even run Gobbidemic under Strong Gust, so not only does your Toxic type attacks get buffed, but you also have a stronger Air-type move instead of Air Blade. You could even run it under Thunderstorms to hit other metal types like Stratosaur, and you could even run this under Fog as well. I feel like Gobbidemic is the only Lumian out of all the Climate Cannon Lumians that can use all of the weathers effectively. I think the best Gobbidemic Climate Cannon set will be Strong Gust, though, just because of the higher air-type stab it will get compared to Airblade. But it could definitely use all of the weathers very effectively. I feel like Heavy Rain and Strong Gust will be the best weathers for Climate Cannon Gobbidemic. So that's a B+. And I can actually see it getting some usage as well. Now we got the Spreezy line getting Climate Cannon. Offensive Spreezy will actually be usable now. It will actually be able to hit other Lumians. I'm down with that. I'm not sure which Climate Cannon weather will be the best for Spreezy. I feel like, again, just like with Zeppelin and Cinemoth, I feel like it's going to be Heat Wave to hit metal types and ice types. So I feel like Heat Wave's going to be the best weather again. But I feel like it can also, just like with Gobbidemic, I feel like it can use all the weathers. As for Gumpod, it's getting Climate Cannon, Downpour, Heat Wave, and Trip Root. Trip Root hits Luminami, so that's already an A-tier change. Has Heat Wave and Downpour, so it can set up Heavy Rain, and it can set up the Heat Wave as well. And Climate Cannon, the thing that's funny about Ventation, I don't think it's going to use Water-type Climate Cannon or Fire-type Climate Cannon. I mean, yeah, it has Climate Cannon. Actually, no, it doesn't really have a Fire-type coverage move, so maybe it would use Fire-type. But I could actually see it using other Climate Cannons, too. Like, I could see it using Strong Gust. I could see it use Thunderstorm. Maybe, yeah, Thunderstorm is good because it will actually make it so it can hit other water types if you don't want to use Trip Root. And I could even see it use, like, the thing is, the problem with Ventation, it's not going to be able to hit other ancient types too hard. So I don't know if it's going to be as used compared to the other Climate Cannon Lumians, but it's definitely a Lumian I would want to see. I think Climate Cannon Ventation could definitely see some usage. And I think the best Climate Cannon edition is Sherbot. S tier. The reason why Climate Cannon is the best edition for Sherbot, this single-handedly buffs not only the globe items, but it's also buffs Sherbot extremely. This buffs Sherbot a lot. The Storm Globe, Sugar Rush, Sherbot sets are actually going to be a lot more consistent now because they actually have a consistent electric-type move to use under Thunderstorms. Not only is Climate Cannon electric-type Sherbot good on Overcloak, but it's also good in Sugar Rush, where it uses the Storm Globe, uses a Jumpstart, and then you have 2 turns of electric-type Climate Cannon. You could even use this with other weathers, too. Like, you could run the Heat Wave Globe to have Fire-type coverage. You can have Heavy Rain and have Rain-type coverage, Water-type coverage. Strong Gust could even have some use as well, but I don't know if it's ever going to use that one, because it already has Jetstream. But I feel like Electric-type Sherbot with Climate Cannon might actually make it good. I don't think it's going to be amazing because it is a Sherbot. Sherbot has some very bad base stats. It still needs to lose 10 melee defense and put that in its ranged attack to have 104 in order for it to be very good. But I feel like Sherbot's actually going to see a lot more usage now because I feel like Climate Cannon Sherbot is the buff Sherbot needed. It will actually have an electric type move that doesn't make it pivot out. So, and it synergizes very well with its toolkit because Jumpstart gives it 3+2, and not to mention the fact that Climate Cannon Electric literally makes it so it hits all the water types and metal types that Sherbot could not hit before. So, this is the best Climate Cannon buff, I would say. Now we're into all the other moves. We got Ursul getting Rogue Assault. I'm going to actually give it an A tier because it's actually going to buff Ursul again. And honestly, I feel like Jamie went a little too far with the Ursul nerf. I feel like this is going to buff Fog Gloves Ursul. It's gonna buff Gloves Ursul. I'm definitely going to try Gloves Ursul with Rogue Assault. I feel like that Ursul could actually be very strong. So that's something I do want to try on day 1 if I can. Bunpuff's getting Trip Root. You know, B. It's just a new move option. It could use it if there's a lot of heavy Lumians affecting the meta. But right now, I don't think it's ever going to use it, but it's a nice move to have. Shocked it didn't have it to begin with because it's a plant type, but it has it now. Dobo Evolution, not only getting Heat Wave, but also getting Trip Root. This is an A tier change. Any way to actually hit Luminami is a plus, meaning that Infernix is yet another Loomian that can hit Luminami and Lashent for super effective damage. So I'm all in for this one. I like this one. Then we got Whippledrift getting really heavily buffed. Honestly, I don't think Whippledrift needs these buffs. I honestly think Whippledrift's already good already. Has Poison Barbs, Landslide, and Rock Slide. Like, my gosh. Not only can Whippledrift hit air types and electric types, but it can even set up Poison Barbs for its teammates. Oh god, this is dangerous. Honestly, I'm gonna give this... I don't know. I'm gonna give it a C. I don't think it's a terrible move train. I don't think it's gonna make Whippledrift broken. But I feel like this is gonna definitely make it very strong. I feel like Whippledrift is gonna be very strong. Not even as just a weather setter. I feel like its glide set's gonna be very strong too. I feel like Whippledrift is now super strong now. It's already one of the better weather setters because it's a strong gust setter that has the potential to sweep after a Magnify or Hasten. The biggest thing it lacked was coverage. Now it has coverage. Oh god. So, not sure how this is going to do. I'm not sure if I'm going to like this or not, but hey, Whippledrift getting a massive buff. All the Whippledrift lovers out there are going to love this. Now we got Kabunga getting Landslide, which isn't necessarily the biggest change for Kabunga. It's the big change for Chartiki, on the other hand, who's getting AP+. It's a nice move it will run. It's a nice little fourth move option. Gonna be a nice buff for the Inferno Chartikis. Hydrilini getting Wavewrecker, B tier. It's a new water-type melee attack move they can run, and Deja Vu is actually really good for it as well, because it can make it so it can, you know, it's a weather setter that can disrupt the opposing Lumian on the other side. So if a Lumian sets up a layer of barbs, you can get them stuck into setting up barbs while your Deludrix gets a free KO. If they're using something like Palm, or Bulk Up, or Rejuvenate, you can Deja Vu them into Rejuvenate so they're stuck wasting their energy. I feel like there's a lot of disruptive options that Deludrix can do with Deja Vu. I think that's a nice buff for it. I think I could actually see it getting used. Actually, I'm going to give it a B+. I'm actually going to upgrade it. I like this. I actually like this a lot. Protogon getting Climate Cannon. Another Climate Cannon Lumian that I really like. I feel like Protogon, again, is going to be the best under Heat Wave. I feel like Heat Wave Climate Cannon for Protogon is going to be the best because it will give it a move to hit Lashent. Because otherwise, Lashent is kind of a problematic Lumian for it. So I feel like Protogon under Heat Wave Climate Cannon is going to be really good. I feel like Climate Cannon being added to all these Lumians is a huge buff to Heat Wave. I feel like Heat Wave might actually see some play because Fire-type coverage, it hits decently hard. I don't know why. I feel like that's very strong, especially for a lot of these Lumians that don't really have the coverage to hit plant or metal types. So, I think this is very strong. I think Heat Wave got a massive buff with all of the additional Climate Cannon Lumians they can run. So, yeah, Climate Cannon Protogon, that's a nice little A tier change, and I think it's going to be very good with it. Cradle getting Heat Wave, you know, B tier, just your stereotypical change, not much to really say about it. Chartiki's the same way, B tier change, not really much to say. This one is going to be a B+. Lanta and Landtorch getting Priority Heat Wave. I could see Priority Heat Wave and doubles being very strong because it has an ability called... It has an ability that can make all its Fire-type moves have priority. So having the ability to set up priority boosted Heat Wave is going to be very strong for Landtorch. It's going to give it a niche unlike any other Lumians in the game. So I can actually see this move having some use on Landtorch. Maybe not in singles, but I could see it getting some use in doubles. Weevil and Zulong getting Thunderstrike, just your stereotypical B tier change. Same with Joltooth, B tier, Ikazune, B tier, Sporevawax, B tier, B tier, B tier, you know, all of the, you know, they're all getting the weather moves. They're probably never going to run them, but they have them. So, I'm feeling neutrals. I feel like a lot of B tiers with these. And now we got Revenine getting not only Charred Claws, but Magnify. Charred Claws is a stronger Fire-type melee-type attack, which that's really good for Revenine. Even with just that move by itself, I would give Revenine an A tier. With it getting Magnify at the same time, S tier. This might be the best change that Jamie has made. Because Prowler Revenine is going to be very strong with this. Prowler Revenine And Magnify is going to be a nice fourth move. You can either run Fade Away, or you could run Magnify as Revenine's fourth move, and it can be very dangerous with this. Get a Magnify set up, and then it can actually destroy a lot of the game, because Fire Spirit Stab with Dark coverage, not really anything can swap into that. So, I think this is a really nice buff. I don't think it's overpowered, because Revenine is kind of frail, and it can die pretty easily. And I do think there are a couple Lumians that can soak its hits decently well, so I don't think one Magnify is going to make it too overpowered. I like this. I'm going to give this an S+ change. We got Skellig getting Brawn Boost and Savage Horn. That is an A-tier change. Skellig is finally getting buffed. It needs Brawn Boost. It needs Brawn Boost. Drudges is not enough for it. Its Savage Horn will give it a more consistent way to actually hit Lashent, which is really good for it. And then we have Gargolem getting Gale Force, which this will be a B-tier change. I can maybe see Gargolem Speed use this, or Gargolem Defense use this, but I don't know if any of the other Gargolems will ever use it. So, it's just going to be a normal B-tier change. Now, we're getting to the bottom of the list. Now, it's almost up. We're almost done with the balance changes. Yeah, this list is a little shorter compared to some of the other ones, but that's fine. Just because a balance change list is shorter, it doesn't make it less effective, or it doesn't make it less interesting to talk about. It just makes the video a little bit shorter, even though the video is already 26 minutes long. But that's besides the point. Lumians that are losing moves. Luminami losing Mega Chomp and Frostbeam. I'm actually going to give this a B-. And the reason why I'm giving this a B- is because I actually disagree with Luminami losing Frostbeam. I actually think Luminami should keep Frostbeam and only lose Mega Chomp. The reason why it's not lower than B is because I think losing Mega Chomp's the right play, because having light dark coverage is very dangerous. Not many Lumians should have that combination offensively. But I feel like also losing Frostbeam is also a little bit overkill. Not making it able to hit Lashent or other plant types. Like, okay, I understand. You know, not being able to hit plant types is fine, but it's still a Sleek Shot and Chili Chomp, so it's just gonna kind of adjust its moveset. So, I don't know if I agree with this. I feel like it should just keep Frostbeam, because I feel like Luminami losing Frostbeam is not gonna necessarily hurt the Power Napper Luminamis, but it's gonna hurt all the other tech set Luminamis. You know, the Specialty Goggles Awakening set. That's the Luminami that this nerf's gonna hurt. Not the Power Napper one too much. Like, it'll hurt the Power Napper one a little bit, but not enough to really kill it. Like, Luminami is still gonna be a top 3 Lumian, I feel like. So, I feel like what Jamie should have done is made Luminami lose Power Napper and replace it with a Nightlight. That's what I feel like they should have done. Replace Mega Chomp, make it lose Mega Chomp, and then make it lose Power Napper and give it Nightlight as its secret ability. That's what I think I would have done to change Luminami. Hey, Luminami's getting a nerf though, so I don't think many players are going to complain about that. Now, we got Cradle, Crackalola, and Vocalola losing Mudslide. It's a nerf to Crackalola, basically, making it so, you know, its hazard removal is forced to be Teardown. And you know what? I'm fine with that. I'm fine with it having its only move being Teardown. Then we got this one. We got Xmas Cradle and Lashent losing Icicle Traps. This one is a B-tier change. They're also trying to nerf Lashent by removing Hazard setup for it, but again, I don't know if this is the way I would do it. I don't think this is the way I would nerf Lashent. I would just drop Earthquake from it, so fire types can consistently switch into it. Like, I understand what Jamie's trying to do. He's trying to nerf a lot of the annoying Lumians. He's trying to nerf Luminami and Lashent, because those two Lumians are pretty crazy right now. They're used on pretty much every team to survive. And they're nerfing Crackalola because of how annoying it is. But I feel like the way he's going with the Luminami and Lashent nerfs, I don't know, I don't feel like those are the best way. I feel like for Lashent, I would have just nerfed, I just would have just made it lose Earthquake, so fire types could actually consistently switch into it without taking a super effective Earthquake. When with, again, like I said, with Luminami, just remove Mega Chomp and replace Power Napper with Nightlight. So, that's what I would do, but I'm not the balancer, and there's a good reason why I'm not the balancer. There's a reason why Jamie's the balancer, and not me. So, those are the Lumians that are losing moves. The bugs. Now we got the bugs. Beast Slumber. Yeah, I saw this. If the user switches out of battle after using Brief Slumber, it switches back in, and yeah, you still lose the defense stats. I'm glad that this is getting changed. This needs to be changed. I'm not going to rank these because these are bugs. Weather globes, if the weather is already active and the Lumians holding the corresponding weather globe switches into battle, it will not activate until the weather has ended or changed, which, you know what? That's a nice little buff for the globes. I think that's actually going to have... That's going to buff globes a little bit, which I'm perfectly down with. Freezer and Flame Core don't have the updated description unlike the Voltic Core. Yeah, that's fine. Devious not passed by passing tank. Yep, that needs to be changed. It makes sense. Guru. Now this one is sad. So check the user's moves for any boosts and changes before applying the ability. This is basically there, so now you can no longer have 210 base power ill wills. Oh, absolute sad face. Sumo Beetle now just lost one of its tech sets. Oh, rest in peace to the ill will Sumo Beetle. I think it needed to happen, because a 210 base power move is pretty strong, but hey, it's unfortunate that it needed to happen. The Manning doesn't stack with health draining moves like Mind Drain. Now it will stack, which I think it needs to happen. Conspire just doesn't work in general. Yeah, Conspire is probably one of the most useless abilities when it doesn't work, so I think it needs to work, so that's good. I think it's the ability that makes it so Lumians don't fall asleep, so yeah, I think that's good with it. And Bursting Seams, if the user doesn't recover an item, the ability will just break. This doesn't work with the weather globes, though, which, you know what? I think this needs to happen. I was using Offensive Ear Snack once, and I didn't get my item back, and I never got my item back. So, hey, Offensive Ear Snack Re-Showcase. I'm definitely going to be trying that. So, yeah, those are the balance changes for Ranked Season 2. Well, Ranked Year 2 Season 1 balance changes. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. What are y'all favorite balance change and what is your least favorite balance change? Please tell me in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see y'all all later. Bye-bye!